Little bit of whiskey, feeling really risky. All right, buckle up, we sound good. This one's titled Gen Z is like this because we realized all of this stuff is fake and everyone is still more comfortable with playing into misery than being happy. This is kind of borderline why Gen Z is just get disconnected and really just doesn't give up. This should be fun.
When I started higher education, my second semester, COVID happened. And since I've been in college in the COVID generation, I have heard repeatedly, professors and people within the institution talk about the fact that the classroom is declining. Enrollment is dropping, attendance is dropping, student participation is dropping.
Well, it's about time. We're actually going to fast forward through this. I can kind of sum that up. College really didn't become prevalent until I want to say the boomers. College became prevalent, but really, I want to say Gen X was really the first real guinea pig of, not guinea pig, but the real college kind of came into full form. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised college didn't drop off a cliff sooner. It's happening. That's why Gen Z doesn't want to go to college. They realize it's horse shit. It's baloney. Rubbish. But anyways, let's fast forward. She talks about school, but yeah, they're snapping out of it. Like, of course.
Because what happened specifically with my generation is that we, growing up like everybody else, were conditioned, fed narratives, given expectations about what our futures are supposed to look like.
Preach.
More importantly, we have expectations about what our reality is supposed to look like. We have expectations about what our present moment is supposed to look like constantly. And when COVID happened, every single thing was flipped completely on its head. Every single expectation about what your day-to-day life is supposed to look like, every narrative they told us about what is and is not possible under capitalism, every narrative they told us about, these milestones that you're supposed to be meeting, college are the best years of your life, going to prom, graduating, all of those milestones that make us American and that make us people under this system and give us these like collective experiences to share together, completely stripped away, completely taken from us. And so at that point, what occurred is...
You know what's nuts? How she was talking about everything you're supposed to be doing is almost, it's kind of planned for you. That's why I was kind of saying I feel like Gen X was really that was the real test subject. I'm not saying boomers didn't have it. This has been around a long time. Like, I'm a millennial. I've known since 8th grade. I'm 35. 8th grade. I said, I've learned enough. By 10th grade, I literally was like, I've learned enough here. Okay, let's not forget about the hippies in the 60s and shit. Okay, so this has always been a thing. But COVID and the internet combined, oh, that was the magic formula, dude. And I am Team Gen Z, and I do understand why they're going to go their own route. We kind of covered this with young men the other day, why they're not playing a rigged game. And I even brought it up. I said, because a lot of older people were blaming Gen Z men for giving up, not wanting to participate, not wanting to play ball. And I said, dude, you bring any girl in here that's even remotely awake upstairs, like this lady here. I was like, all of them are going to say the same shit. They're all going to, it's not just men. It's the entire younger generation. Even older people. It's always been a thing. But just think about that for a second. It's gotten to its final stage. College. Life goes this way. Dude, like this is the order of your life. High school, college, family, kids, house, retirement, grandkids. It's always gone in this order, and it's hit its pinnacle, where it's all kind of collapsing on itself. And I'm stoked. I'm in it for I'm excited to see where things go. I am curious.
Gen Z as a collective understood everything is meaningless. Oh, okay. So all of this shit that you guys are telling us to believe in is fucking fake. It's all just fake. And what happened is we internalized the fact that, okay, so this is society has its own version of reality, and I have my own version of reality.
You know what? I gotta admire the fact that a lot of Gen Z is actually acting on it. Because my generation, so many kids, so many people realize that. They're like, fuck everything. I ain't doing it. They're all 35 now, and they're just doing it. So I'm glad that they're acting on it. And real quick, speaking of sponsorships, today's video is sponsored by Breastwater, helping breast cancer, keeping people hydrated. We're actually giving away $1,000. The way to enter is you simply go buy a case of water, screenshot your successful purchase, send them a message on Instagram. Just send them the picture of your purchase. That's how you enter. We're going to pick somebody on July 14th. $1,000, Breastwater, supporting a good cause, and also keep you hydrated. Good alkaline water. Sponsor the channel. Shout out to Breastwater, breastwater.com. Anyways, back to this chick. I'm glad Gen Z is making moves, though. They're not just talking shit. They're being about it. You're still going to have to pay your bills, though, unfortunately. So, got to make a compromise.
And society's is always going to win. So now I have this perspective, I have this sense of self that does not at all align with what the world is telling me is happening. And so we have disconnected who we are from the world, and we've coveted ourselves. We've seen that the world is like, I actually just want you to perform, and yourself doesn't have a place. And so Gen Z internalized this understanding of, when I'm out in the world, I'm of the world that is kind of doing its own thing. And so that means I just need to play into the world doing its own thing. And then when I get to my private safe spaces, that's where I get to have myself. That's where I get to have my opinions. That's where I get to have my thoughts, etc., etc. And so I've recognized this within myself, of course. But like, the classroom has really become a place where students are like, all right, I'm going to take in this information. I'm going to pass the test.
This is the one thing I'm going to say. She almost lost me there for a minute. I was like, Jesus Christ. That's one thing I'm going to say. If people do actually have a full grasp on things being completely bullshit and made up right here, everything's fake, obviously you still need to make money. I'm surprised that there still is a large number of attendance at colleges. I really am. I'm not saying college isn't worth it. I'm just saying, we'll see how this unfolds, but how deep are they gonna go? Like I said before, let's not forget about the hippies, okay? People were full-blown hippies, snapped out of it, and went and conformed and got a job and said, yes, sir. So we're gonna see a lot of that too. Even from my school of people, plenty of people talking, I'm not living the regular way, it's all bullshit. Very few of them kept their word on that. But I think Gen Z's almost pushed into it, though. A lot of us are. A lot of us are going to have to get super weird creative to support ourselves. That much I guarantee you. I have faith for Gen Z. I'm rooting for him. Let's see where she's going with this college rhetoric.
I'm going to speak up when I know what I have to say is right or valid, and then I'm going to go home and probably do whatever I want with it. And that's really very interesting, because in a way, Gen Z, it has internalized the liminal space that is late stage capitalism. That late stage capitalism, the trends keep repeating. Nostalgia is prevalent. Nostalgia is constant. They're always doing remakes, because we're at this point now where we can't grow any further. And we just keep repeating and repeating and repeating the same cycles, the same histories over and over and over and over. So we're like in this nowhere place. We can't fathom what the world looks like on the other side of capitalism, but we're living.
You hear this capitalism bullshit left and right? What is capitalism ultimately? It boils down to a certain degree of selfishness and money. How much money can I have? That's really what it is, right? But here's what I want to understand. Is just a mass amount of people going to be willing to be totally selfless? Does this make sense? So, for instance, I have one full-time employee, but he works with me, right? I'm going somewhere with this. Crazy cousin Nestor. He helps me with my second YouTube channel. And I realize why people aren't showing up to work. They'll show up for the fucking money. I guarantee you, a lot of these people who are like, I'm not playing ball with capitalism. You bet your sweet tits a certain number can buy most people. So what I did with Nestor, because I tried hiring people before, I said, you know what? If I don't give him skin in the game, go, hey, this is yours too. I'm going to give you a percentage of this. Not a small percentage, almost 50% of an entire channel. So whatever he actually puts into it, he's going to get rewarded. But how many companies, how many individuals, I'm not saying I'm a revolutionary here. I'm not, right? I'm just saying, where else are you going to find that deal? Does that make sense? So if I make a shit ton of money, so does Nestor. He's actually going to get borderline half. So my point is how many people, when I've told this to other friends who own businesses, they're like, you're not going to put a cap on them, dude? You got to cap them out, bro. He goes, that's a bit steep. Every single person says the same thing. All of them. All of them. They think I'm nuts. But that's how far gone. So when I hear capitalism, I go, so how are you going to break the status quo? Are you going to be a part of it? Are you going to be selfish when you start making really good money? Or are you going to let other people in and also live in harmony? I got to hit a 360 real quick. Woo! Got a new chair. Anyways, something to think about. Something to think about.
In a future past, like we're repeating the past, but in the future version of it, that's the liminal space of late stage capitalism. And now Gen Z, our personhood, our bodies, our minds, our souls, and our spirits, and our ability to connect with other people has become a representation of that liminal space. We are literally walking embodiments of that liminal space all the time. There is a self in there. There is authenticity in there waiting to be met. But we're meeting this block where we cannot fuse the independent self and then like the performance of what we're supposed to do when we're out there in the world. Like, we need a fusion of that. Like, this is who you are when you're yourself and you're with the world. You can be both, and that's called authenticity. But at this point, in order to get students to make that connection and that fusion and live like independent lives that they deserve to be living and have independent identities that they deserve to be having, I think that we have to like encourage each other and encourage students to imagine what their life would look like outside of capitalism. Because right now that fusion's never going to occur, because I think that all of Gen Z kind of has this understanding of like, I don't have anywhere else to go. I know that everything that's happening is bullshit and completely and utterly made up and can be flipped on its head and taken from me and exploited at any given point, like completely overnight, which is exactly what happened during COVID. We all know that. We're like, you made this up. And you proved to us that you made this up. Okay, so we know that this is all bullshit. But fine, I don't have any other options because you control everything. And we became increasingly aware of that during COVID. We were like, oh, okay, right. You guys can control and do whatever you want with this. So my ability...
She's got a really good point on that one. And I do agree with her.
...to fight the system, I'm not really getting fired up about that because COVID also showed me who's in control completely in a way that's like not really, has not been seen in like what, the last century? When was the last pandemic? Whatever. So in order...
Yeah, when was the last pandemic? When even was that? No, seriously. Let me look that up. Hold on. Let me look that up. Brushwater.com. It's a real thing. It's actually good water, too. Hold on. When was a pandemic other than COVID? Hold on. Okay. Pandemics such as the plague, the Spanish flu, HIV, Ebola caused deaths, destruction, and political regimes, as well as financial and psychological burdens. However, they sometimes resulted in. It looks like there's really not much. Like, when the fuck ever did they just shut down businesses? I mean, I guess like Hitler, maybe. He was killing people. People were Anne Franking it back then. Like, that's pretty gnarly. But, like, yeah, I think that's kind of brand new. Let me hop over to the comments section. But, like, something to think about, though, is you hear a lot of the capitalism talk. You hear it, especially from young people. But what are you going to do about it within your reality, right? Are you really going to start a business and pay your employees a lot of, like, or like, let's say you start a business. Just put it this way. Let's say you start making $50,000 a month and you have 2 employees. Are you just going to pay them $4,000 a month and say, show up and do all the work while you're taking in the, are you going to be no better than the other people? That's what I'm saying. Or are you going to give them a real cut? Be like, yeah, 10,000 each. We all do the work. We live in harmony. I get my share. You guys get yours. How many people are really going to be, let's say, selfless, if you would, right? Money does stuff to people. I've fucking seen it, man. I've even been a little delusioned by money in my past life. When I was younger, I was never greedy, but I could see I could see it. My dad owned a business. I could see how he didn't want to share the wealth. He was a generous person, but only to an extent. So that's kind of my point. I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. I'm saying, how do you even do anything about it you can't really. You have to do it within your own circle, right? Okay. They also want us to care so much, but when we care too much about something, it's unrealistic. Yeah, that's true. I'm a professor, and I say this all the time. It's honestly older generations I can't stand. Okay. Gen Z was the youngest to go through it and survive. We are on the cusp of change. So hate us, tell us off, but we are the only generation that bridges a gap of actual telepathic thought. Yeah, they're like the beginning, and we'll see how it turns out. You know, are they really going to become a selfless, all sharing generation? Are they? I have no idea. We'll find out. I'll go through periods where it feels like my body is fighting going to work and participating in society because I know it's all fake and we aren't supposed to live like this. Yeah, I think a big part of it is the job, right? No matter what, you're gonna have to work. So let's say you wanted to go on a fucking commune, right? Kumbaya and shit. You know, everybody's gonna have to kind of work in harmony together. You know, that's gonna take a selfless act. Even if money wasn't involved, everyone's going to have to do their fair share. At least you're kind of you're working for yourselves at that point. But that's a big one. I think it really is just the money. If you were going somewhere and you felt like you were really valued and you're actually getting a stake in this motherfucker, I think it's almost that simple, really. I just kind of don't like speaking up unless I'm full. All right. Money is fake and allows most evil people among us to gain most power, so I don't even want to participate in life anymore, to be honest. I get that one. Gen Z is questioning everything other generations have just accepted. It's uncomfortable, but since COVID, it's alarmingly obvious how surface level everything is in society. Yeah, I like that. I like that one. We're going to end on that note. I'll leave this lady's information down below, this young girl. But this is something where every generation, there's always the group of people that are like, it's all hocus pocus. They're not participating. Let's not forget the hippies. Okay. This has always been a thing, but now it's just kind of exploded. And there's even plenty of older people. They watch the channel. You're watching it right now. It's probably a 64-year-old man watching this going, damn right. Damn right. Anyway, shout out to Breastwater. Don't forget to get yourself some. Also, if you want to invest in your future, get yourself some gold. Atlas Bullion. I work with them. I'll leave the link down below. Mailbox gold. Send it right to your house. We'll see. We'll see how selfless people will be. That's kind of the best. You know what I mean? Anyways, what do I know? I'm just a guy winging it like the rest of you. Good talk.